Good evening and welcome to the December 6th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. Section 40 of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 allows for the continuation of remote meetings. As such, this meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference and is also being broadcast on cable channel 9 and streamed, I believe, online by FCTV. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. We have a full complement of commissioners tonight. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you, everyone. Just a reminder for commenting, I'll call on each of you at the appropriate time so we don't trip over each other. Also, that all votes need to be done by roll call. So when I call your name, please state your name for the record and your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public participants, at any time during this meeting, may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. And if you'd like to be heard on a specific hearing as a participant, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I don't use appropriate time too often, do I? I will call for public comment. When you are selected, you will be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled. Be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the Commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply, so the project may proceed as proposed. However, a positive determination means that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply and would require the project to file a notice of intent application. So the bottom line is, as an applicant, you kind of want to hear a negative determination. First up, other business. Eagle Scout project to install stairs at Pond 14. Mr. Kasperzik. Mark, you're on mute.
Mark, you're on mute.
Actually, I was just miming, but no, really. Yeah, we have Deneb Landre from Troop 38 in Falmouth. That's going to give the presentation. I'll let him fill you in all the details of his project as an Eagle Scout. And it's going to be for a much needed area of restoration. Thank you.
Okay, so my proposed project is about erosion control on the path near Parker Road and the Coonamessett Bogs. So more detailed idea of where this project is. Right here is John Parker Road. This is Parker Pond or Pond 14. These are Coonamessett Bogs. The blue line is the path that the trail takes. And the red bar right here is where the stairs and the water bars are going to be. So the problem on this trail is that there is a hill, as seen in this picture, that is very steep and very eroded. There's lots of loose sand and it's very slippery and it's making it hazardous for like people hiking the trail to walk on it and be safe. So my proposed solution is I want to put anti-erosion stairs and water bars on the trail. The water bars will be on top of the hill before the steep incline starts to try and divert the water away from the stairs and the hill. The stairs are going to be made with gravel and pressure-treated wood, so the water will drain through them and not just run over them. The stairs will be made into the side of the trail so that water cannot run around them and further like causing erosion on either side of the stairs. So this is a diagram of what one of the water bars is going to look like. It's kind of hard to see in the picture here, but they'll be at an angle on the trail so that the water does not just splash over them. There'll also be gravel to help the water drain to the soil. The gravel will be on the uphill side, and the board's going to be a 4x4 board, about 9 feet long, and there'll be 2 pieces of rebar to secure it into the ground. And this is a diagram of what the stairs are going to look like. So there'll be 9 stairs in total. You can't see that on this image here, but for one of the stairs, there's going to be gravel behind the stair to help provide a flat base. And the stair itself is going to be a 6x6 pressure treated wooden board with 2 pieces of rebar to help secure it into place. It's also kind of hard to see here, but the stairs will be into the side of the hill here, so water does not go around them. Okay, materials for the project. So for the water bars, they're going to be made out of, we're going to have 2 water bars, and they're made of 4x4x10 pressure treated boards, and then 4 pieces of 2-foot rebar, and they'll have grade 3 gravel or crushed stone, which is about 1/2 inch to 2 inches in diameter. And for the stairs, we're going to have 4 6x6x5 pressure treated boards and 5 6x6x6 pressure treated boards, just because of how the width of the path changes. And we're going to have 18 pieces of 3-foot rebar to secure them. And we're going to have grade 5 gravel or crushed stone, which is about less than 1/2 inch in diameter. And in total, as I said before, we'll have 9 stairs. So how will this project help? So the stairs and water bars are going to stop erosion on the hill, and they'll prevent silt and sand from going to the pond, and they'll also help protect the ecosystem on the hill. The project will also make it safer for people walking on the trail, and it will make the trail more desirable to walk on, and it'll also make it more accessible to a larger variety of people. Okay, any questions? Okay.
All right, if you would stop sharing, please.
Yep.
Thank you. Nice presentation. Jen.
Excellent presentation, Daneb, but no, I don't have any questions. I'm sure you'll be well mentored by Mark.
Mark.
I just want to say that when we went out there, Ned was really conscientious about, listening to the problems of that area, because it's really is steep, and you want to do something not just for the sake of doing it, but where you can handle the erosion issue and get the water off the path early. So I think he has a great design. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Anybody? Betsy.
The Neb. So I've been working on these trails for 12 years now, and this was a key area when Mark told me that you had a design and your group was going to do it. I was thrilled. It's going to be a great addition to the whole trail system. So thanks.
Courtney.
I agree absolutely with Betsy, and you've done a nice job of designing it. It looks like it will withstand a lot of use. And I hope that you think more about doing additional projects like this. I know years ago, once upon a time, I used to run a lot, and I'd run in the Long Pond area around that pond is a 5-mile route, and there are a number of places on that trail that could use that same exact form of treatment. So I hope it's successful, and you'll expand. You guys will go out and do a few more of those.
Kevin.
I think it's obviously a very worthwhile project, and as Courtney said, would hopefully lead to repeats in the future, which would make it more available and more popular. Thank you. Congratulations.
Excellent. Maury?
Just a great project. Thank you for the effort and can't wait to see it finished.
Excellent. Melissa?
Yeah, thank you, Deneb, for proposing the project. It's a great idea. I like the idea. I have a question, just some clarification. I'm curious, why did you choose coarser stone for around the drainage slats and finer stone for the stairs?
So for the water bars, I wanted thicker stone just so it's easier for the water to drain. And for the stairs, I wanted to make sure the stones were small enough so that it was a flat surface to step on and it wasn't too hard to like balance on the stairs.
Great. Okay. I was actually curious about that. Thank you very much. And enjoy doing the project. Thank you for your service to town.
Steve?
You're muted. I'm muted.
Hi, thank you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Are you a local student?
So yeah, I go to Sturgis Charter Public School in Hyannis, so a bit away. And I'm Troop 38 and I'm a member of the OA. And yeah.
Thanks.
All right. All right. So I think we're looking for a motion and a second to not sure the verbiage I want to use.
I'll make a motion to get Deneb started on the stairs.
Perfect.
Bird second.
Second.
Keep it simple. All right. We have a motion and a second. We're voting. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa?
Right, guy.
Steve?
And I.
Excellent. It's unanimous. We have endorsed this project. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
When are you going to do the project?
I don't have an exact date yet, but I'm hoping to do it sometime this summer, hopefully.
Summer 2024.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Excellent. All right.
Good luck and good night.
Thanks, Mark.
I didn't know Edward Morrow was in the building.
All right. Next up, request for a continuance for determination of applicability. And before I even say what these are, Ms. Bergeron, you got to kick these out far enough that they're going to do something about it. First up, Frederick and Shirley Weedman, 23 Debbie Lane, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump, dry, fill, and abandon the existing cesspools and to install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Ms. Bergeron.
The applicant has requested a continuance until December 20th. We did receive a revised plan last week. There were additional revisions made. I made detailed notes about it, so hopefully we can get that by the 13th. If you'd like to push it out further, though, that's your guys' prerogative.
Well, I mean, this is like the fourth or fifth continuance, so I mean,
I understand.
you know, it's just getting old, but I don't know.
We're trying, Jamie.
All right, so we have a request for continuance to December 20th.
So moved, Gladfelter.
Bird second.
Melissa?
Would it be easier for conservation staff if we moved it into the next year?
No.
I don't think we should take an opinion. I do know the homes are up for sale, so they really, really have wanted this done for a long time. Hopefully it's enough to get it going.
All right, just had to ask. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're voting on the continuance. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa?
Right, guy.
Steve?
And I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until December 20th. And the next one might sound familiar as well. Frederick and Shirley Weedman, 24 Debbie Lane, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump, dry, fill, and abandon the existing cesspool and to install a Title V sewage disposal system. Ms. Bergeron.
The applicant has requested a continuance until December 20th.
Bird, so move.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this one as well to December 20th. Melissa?
Same question. Next
Same
year?
project.
Same
Yeah.
answer.
Same answer. Okay.
We're voting on the continuance. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, I.
Maury?
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa?
Right, aye.
Steve?
Bad eye.
It is unanimous. We have granted a continuance to December 20th. Next up brings us to requests for determination of applicability. First up, Dana and Sophia Bartholomew, 153 Bay Shore Drive, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling and install a Title V sewage disposal system on an undeveloped lot. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project is solely located in an AE flood zone.
Bird, so move.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, I.
Maury?
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa?
Right, aye.
Steve?
Bad eye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, TD Realty Partners LLC, 206 Meadow Neck Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to vista prune according to FWR 10.18 10B. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Right, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, I.
Maury?
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa?
Right, aye.
Steve?
Bad eye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, John Mondo, 4 Wachusett Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to upgrade the existing sewage disposal system, reconstruct a deck, construct a staircase, and install a dry well. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project is solely located in an AE flood zone.
Bird, so move.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, I.
Maury?
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa?
Right, aye.
Steve?
Bad eye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Brian O'Connor, 97 Beach Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to reconstruct and expand the existing deck and to install mitigation plantings. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Right,
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion in multiple seconds to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, I.
Maury?
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa?
Right, aye.
Steve?
Bad eye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Maria Hickey, 97 Lakeshore Drive, Falmouth, Mass. for permission to install a dry well, reconfigure existing hardscape, and install native shrubs. Ms. Bergeron.
Yes, the applicant has withdrawn this RDA.
Ah. All right. Next up, Maria Hickey, 18 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to replace landscape timbers. Ms. Bergeron.
The applicant has withdrawn this RDA.
All right. All right. Next up, continued request for determination of applicability. Rako and Brian Henricks, 120, 125, and 130 Old Dock Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to vista prune according to FWR 10.18 10B. Ms. Bergeron.
The applicant has requested a continuance until December 13th. They have added more stakes. They are not surveyed at this time, but they would like to allow time for staff and the commission to review the project and hold the hearing.
Bird, so move.
Gladfelter, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to continue this until December 13. Any questions or comments? All right. We're voting on the continuance. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa.
Aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until December 13th. All right, the next two have been continued again and again. Next up are requests for hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw, and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First up, John and Christina Romiza, trustees, John S. Romiza Revocable Trust of 2014, and Christina A. Romiza Revocable Trust of 2014. 58 Harrisburg Avenue, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct 2 additions, reconstruct a deck, and install mitigation plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I have promoted Tom Bunker up to present his project.
Oh, I didn't see the humor in that, but okay. Mr. Bunker, you're up, sir.
Is it something I said?
No, it's a chat.
Okay, well, regardless, I am Tom Bunker. Oh, jumped the gun, sorry. Tom Bunker with BSS Design, representing the Romizas, John and Christina Romiza at 58 Harrisburg Avenue. And I will share my screen and dive right into it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start out with the town GIS. So this project is located along the shoreline between Falmouth Inner Harbor here and Surf Drive Beach. So it's up in this location here, right on the waterfront. Put that down. There's a clip from the GIS showing the velocity zone covers the entire lot, and behind that is an AE 14 flood zone, and somewhere there it is. Okay, so I'll jump right actually to the first last staff comment. There was a tree that had been previously removed, and I just printed this plan out today. The tree referred to, I have now put it in gray, 18-inch pine, previously removed, one right in here. Hadn't noticed that it was gone from our previous survey, which we had done a couple of years ago. The property, as I showed, is fronts on Vineyard Sound here. It's velocity zone all the way back to this location, encompasses the entire house. Back here, the septic system is way in the very back of the property. There were some newer trees just planted around the back here. So it's in velocity zone. There we have land under the, well, it's land subject to tidal action, land under the ocean, coastal beach, up to a concrete seawall in this location. And then there's a stone seawall beyond it. There's a concrete seawall, the face of which would form a coastal bank along this location. And then there was peering over the vegetation, there's dune up on this side of west of the property, and some other dune on the east side of the property in these locations. So we have the coastal bank in a velocity zone with a 75-foot zone A, which is, yeah, I'm looking for it. Coastal bank, oh no, it's 50 feet, sorry, 50 feet in a velocity zone, it's not eroding. 50-foot zone A, coastal bank zone A, zone B of the coastal bank. There is, like I said, some dune action going on at these two corners. So there's some coastal dune zones A, and a zone A coming through here from this dune. The house is down on ground level, elevation 9. It's not elevated. It's non-conforming to velocity zone standards, but it's an old house that predated any of these regulations. And they want to add on habitable space is the main thing here. So they're removing a little bit of some deck, adding on this color right here is where they're adding habitable space. They're adding deck in this location and rearranging the patio right now goes up to the house in this location. So there's some patio being omitted from here. There's also 15 square feet. This is to make the 200 square feet of increase in floor area of the structure. They're taking off, I think, 3 feet wide of this bathroom here, 15 square feet, and adding some brick back in to extend that brick walk there, and adding 21 square feet. This is all covered porch, is a stone floored porch under here. This is not adding any coverage, but it is adding 21 square feet of space to the house. Just that wall kicking out a little bit to enclose that space. That's the main thrust of this project. And the expansion in a velocity zone, the kitchen, this is kitchen area here, kitchen and serving area is being expanded 192 square feet. 21 square feet of the right here, that deck or porch, and then 15 square feet of the bathroom being taken off. So you have a net expansion of the area of 198 square feet. As I said, not all of that is increase in coverage. So we have increase in zone A of 66 square feet, in zone B of 80 square feet. And so we have 358 square feet of shrubs required. So being in this location, in this corner here, and over in this corner, really the only thing that would work there is you'd want either peach plum, or bayberry, two shrubs chosen for here, which is not the same as what's there now. And there is a staff report says the existing rose type, I don't know which type of rose it is along here, is being kept cut down. And I have told the remisers that this area, the mitigation plants must be allowed to grow to their full height as required. Also, there's some work in this, the stone floor, the porch, perhaps a little bit of the foundation under here, and the brick patio will be perhaps dug up a little bit to find out how much work might have to be done under it, but nothing will expand in this location, just some repairs being made in this location to the patio and the porch. I think that covers what we're doing. You went out there, Duffany is already doing some kind of exploratory work. Some of the windows, windows all around are being removed and replaced. All around here also, but that will create no expansion in there. So that's it. I'll take it down and take questions.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
Only thing, Tom, is the existing buffer is being cut, so please advise your clients not to cut our buffer. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Bergeron?
No comments, thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments, Betsy?
No comments or questions. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Jamie.
All right. Courtney?
I have no comments other than I reinforce Jen's warning about the buffer.
All right. Tom, we're not gonna let you off easy. Hey, when I was out there, there was some extra gravel down, as I assuming it was for the purposes of the existing construction, but that can't stay alongside the, I want to say on the north side of the garage.
Up by the garage. Yeah, we'll make sure that anything extra is removed.
Thank you. Kevin?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
All right. Maury?
No questions or comments. Thank you, Tom.
Melissa?
Hi, Tom. Yes, I have a question and I have comments. I guess we'll start with the low-hanging fruit comment. I know that conservation staff has said, please don't cut back the roses or cut them down, but there seems to be a second 4-foot wide path forming through the current mitigation plantings. If you look at your plan, you look at where it says brick patio, if you were to go to the water, to the word vegetation, basically where that word vegetation is, there's no vegetation there, just a little bit of grass is growing in, and like the Rosa rugosas have been broken away completely. There's just nothing there. I think they should probably replant that too while we're at it. Close that spot up. Yeah, because that's a gaping hole there. And then I had a question about the kitchen adjustment. Yeah, the place was littered with Thomas Duffany guys. They're doing a lot more than changing windows. They've ripped out the whole interior of the house. So it looks to me like this is a major renovation that's going on. It makes me wonder, Jen and everyone, when something kicks in regarding, over 50% of the value of the house being renovated.
They have a permit for that, and that's out of our purview.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be elevated?
That's
No.
a building department thing. That would be a call by the building department. The 50% rule is under the state building code.
Okay, I thought that was partially us. But anyhow, back to the kitchen expansion, the bit that says proposed kitchen expansion, 191 square feet of habitable space. I was looking at it and it looks like it's going out towards the neighbor's property under the eave, but the eave or the upper floor sort of juts out the extra 1.5 feet going all the way around. And I'm wondering, is that one strip that has, you know, the A zone going through it, is that going out all the way to the edge of the eave in the front as well, or is it just sticking to the one end bit?
The floor area is only going out in the direction that we show it, if that answers your question.
I'm just confirming that it's not that the line on your drawing. I mean, there's the upstairs, and then there's this little eave lip, and then there's the downstairs. And I'm wondering, does the drawing actually go out to the edge of the eave, or does it just go to the edge of like the upstairs in the house?
Our drawing does not show the roof line.
Okay.
Only the wall locations.
Okay, so the addition is only going off straight from the downstairs wall. It's not following the roof line. Okay, that's all I wanted to confirm. Thanks so much. No more questions or comments.
All right. Steve.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right. All right, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat.
Thank you. All right, anything else?
Jamie,
Melissa?
one more question.
Yes.
I mean, I was out there when it was raining, snowing, and everything, and it looked like there was some serious drainage problems going on around by the back bathroom and the corner where the deck is going, or I assume those are going to be fixed. It looked like there was a like the dry well that's on the plan here next to the brick patio wasn't taking water from the corners there.
That's a proposed dry well. The one that we show.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that was there. Okay. Good.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Heard second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Anything else? All right, we're voting to close the hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, excuse me, Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Arlo Hawk's eye.
Melissa?
Fractal guy.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you. I'll hang around for later tonight.
I was going to say
Excellent.
good night, Tom.
No, you can't get rid of me that easy.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
All right, next up, John Capobianco, 310 Edgewater Drive LLC, 310 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to replace a retaining wall with a vinyl sheet piling bulkhead. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Mike Borselli up to present his project.
Excellent.
Hello.
There he is. Mike, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, for the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant, John Capobianco. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Capobianco owns the property at 310 Edgewater Drive East. It contains 17,000 square feet of land. It is bounded to the east-southeast by Eel Pond. And the wetland resources of note include land under the ocean, land containing shellfish. There is a small coastal beach. There is a small area and strip of salt marsh just to the east of the property. And there's also a very narrow strip of salt marsh right along and intermixed with these rocks at the landward edge of the existing stone retaining wall. The wall itself meets the definition of a coastal bank, so we've shown and delineated the top of the coastal bank. as basically following the top of the existing wall. The property is also within coastal land, subject to coastal storm flowage. And on the upland are typical residential appurtenances, a single family dwelling, a detached garage, an in-ground swimming pool, lawn areas, driveway, etc. And the applicant is proposing to reconstruct the existing stone wall that's along the waterfront with a new sheet piling wall that would be landward of the existing stone wall. I have a photo to share that shows you the old stone wall. It shows you the rocks that are at the base of it, and you can see some of the vegetation intermixed with the rocks. There's a strip of salt marsh here. This is a very old wall. It's showing signs of failure, cracking, leaning in places, and it's becoming a worry to Mr. Capo Bianco. So he is proposing to replace that. And he wants to replace it with the typical sheet pile walls that you have seen me present before. Just adjacent to on the abutting property, there you will see there's this very small area labeled deck. That's actually the edge of an existing sheet piling wall on the abutter's property that drifted over slightly over the property line. So what we're proposing to do is connect to that and then run along the waterfront behind the existing stone wall. Create this notch to allow for inlaid timber stairs to be included to gain access down to the beach. In this location now with some existing masonry stairs that would be removed and replaced with this. And then the wall would continue this way and return just adjacent to the property line. There are details on page 2. And I'm going to focus on this typical cross section that demonstrates what we intend to do. There's the existing stone wall shown, and there's a very small concrete footing at its base. You can see that in the photo, running along the base here. This will be sheet piling driven into the ground, tied back with anchor rods, and then capped with a small timber cap. We did initially do some test holes with a mini excavator along the back of this wall. We excavated to make sure there were no obstructions or no boulders or footings or subsurface obstructions that would prevent the sheet piling from being driven, and it was pure sand, so that we don't expect any issues with that. The notice of intent has a narrative, and it describes the methodology, and the way that the methodology to install this wall will be that it'll be done in manageable sections. So most likely they'll start from the far end up here, and they'll remove a small section of the stonework, and then they'll install what they can install in a day's work, so that there's no part of the bank that the stone wall has been removed and then is exposed overnight. But they won't go in and just completely remove all the stonework, expose everything, and then drive the pilings, sheet piling as they can. They'll work in manageable sections. Then they'll go on to another section, and they'll continue on until it's done. So this is all done, proposed to be above mean high water. There's a construction access shown from the driveway over the lawn. So there's easy access to do this. This will all be done from the upland. There's no plans for a barge. It would be done by an excavator with a pneumatic hammer attachment. And the tie rods are driven using a pneumatic torque wrench, for lack of a better term. They torque these in. They're helicals, so they're torqued into the ground. It's illustrated here on this cross section. They're torqued into the ground until they get sufficient resistance so that they will assist in keeping the wall from leaning over. I think that sums up the presentation. There were some staff comments that we went through that all seemed reasonable. I'll just briefly go through those. There was a request to add the boundary of the salt marsh, the 100-foot no disturbance zone from a salt marsh to the plan. We can certainly do that. And there was a reference to that strip of salt marsh grass that runs along through the rocks at the base of the wall, and there'll be that will need to be protected. And that there's a request to show that on the plan, and I intend to add that to the plan and put a notation that shall be protected during construction. There was a request to submit the Chapter 91 license for the dock. I can research that and provide that to your file. There was a comment that there's a portion of vegetated buffer. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Alyssa, but I think that would have been up on this end. A portion of the vegetated buffer will be removed for the construction of the return. So that would have to be restored. That's this area right here. There is some vegetation here. So any disruption of that vegetation will most certainly be restored. Most likely with beach grass or something like that. It's brushy. I didn't really focus on there's probably some invasives, but I didn't focus on the other native species that are in there. But certainly that's a condition we certainly have no issue with. And then there was a reference to a bench and a rock area. I think there's a wooden bench down here on the beach, and there's a comment that would have to be removed, as well as some. It looked like there was some rocks placed. So certainly those can and should be removed. And I think that sums it up. And I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Mike. Jen?
Yes, Mike, you and I talked briefly about the salt marsh, how it extends along the front. That's kind of not really depicted on your plan.
Yep.
Did you briefly touch on whether you were going to leave the those toe stones, or not toe stones, but
I know that your staff report says that needs to be protected and not damaged, of course. So I wanted to have the option of either taking the necessary steps to protect it or leaving that footing in the ground at the base. But I'm not sure that the owner wants to do that, so I didn't want to commit to that tonight. But the salt marsh certainly has to be protected. There's a very narrow strip of salt marsh along that base of that wall.
okay, so why don't we put in, like, to submit a methodology on how you're going to protect the salt marsh prior to the wall going in?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure just if they were just working in manageable daily sections, I think matting the marsh, I mean, matting it for one day is not going to destroy it.
Right, and I don't even think they need to get down on top of it. Everything's going to be worked on from the upland, so it's more about making sure it doesn't get dug out.
I just worry about being
Right.
dug out. That's what I'm concerned with.
Yep.
All right, and then we'll just put in some language that if the marsh is damaged, then restoration will be required.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right. Ms. Bergeron?
Thank you. Just one note, Mike, I realized later that on the south side of the property too, there's a little bit of vegetation in the buffer. it's a smidge of Rosa rugosa.
Right.
I missed that initially, so it's just a small area, but if that square footage could also be restored and just
Absolutely.
keep whatever vegetation is there.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, commissioner comments, Courtney.
No comments.
All right, Kevin. Kevin.
Oh, no comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, Maury.
The chapter 91 is going to be submitted.
For the dock, yes.
Yeah, only because I saw floats there, but on your plan, it just shows a straight pier. So I
Right.
think that would be good to have that to know what's really supposed to be permitted. And the rest Jen touched base on, and I'm all set. Thank you.
Melissa.
Yeah, I had a comment about the floats too, or a question about the floats, but also I happened to be looking at a satellite view of it, and there's I didn't see it when I was there, but the satellite view has boats on the ground between the pool pump house and the retaining wall. I'd just like to remind them that they can't actually store boats right there. No kayaks, no dinghies, nothing like that. But other than that, yeah, it was a beautiful wall, but I'm glad that you're going to remove it properly and carefully. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Steve.
No comments. Thank you.
All right, Betsy.
Yeah, so I can't find it, but I thought that Alyssa or Jen had sent us something from the state.
Oh, I can speak.
DEP?
Yeah, there was a comment from DEP that says if the volume of stones to be removed below mean high water is greater than 100 cubic yards, then an individual 401 permit would be required, since the action would be considered dredging. Well, there's two things. None of this is the mean high water just barely touches the base of the wall. And we did a calculation of the volume of the stone to be removed as 30 cubic yards. So it's well below the 100 cubic
Okay.
threshold.
Okay. Yeah. I can't, it was sent to me while I was away and I can't find it, but
Yeah.
thanks, Mike. You've
Yep.
addressed my question.
Okay.
Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat function.
Then I'll make a motion to close this hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Any other questions or comments? All right, we're voting to close the hearing. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Melissa. Steve.
Ben, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Borselli.
Thank you.
Is it good night for you?
Next, you get to see me back to back.
You're not even going to leave.
Not yet, no.
All right. Next up, continued request for a hearing under a notice of intent. Wendy Hill, 28 Drift Road, West Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise RAZE an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling with a deck and balcony, install a pool, remove an existing cesspool, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, and install DCPC plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mike is here to present his project. I've also promoted up Greg Jones, who actually wanted to join our earlier hearing. So they can present their project. Anybody else right now, Mike?
No, but Mr. Get's in the audience, from Cataldo Builders.
Yep, I see him.
Anything specific about construction of the new house?
Okay.
I have to recuse myself from the hearing, Harlow Hawks.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Boselli, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Mike Borselli for the record. I represent the applicant Wendy Hill, the owner of the property at 28 Drift Road. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you. The property in question may be familiar to you because you've reviewed it on a couple of previous occasions. It's the property at 28 Drift Road. It actually has frontage on Buzzards Bay to the west and on the Sippawisset Marsh to the east. The most recent review for the project was for a buffer restoration and invasives management plan that you issued a order of conditions to allow that work to proceed. It's ongoing and in process if you visited the site. Prior to that, you had also reviewed and approved another restoration, but in this case it was a dune restoration just on the west side of the Drift Road, between the house and Drift Road. And you also reviewed and approved the installation of a tight holding tank for the wastewater. So we're here tonight for a new project, but that just gives you a background of what you've recently reviewed and approved on this land. And this plan is a good representation of the existing conditions on the site. And I'd like to just go through the wetland resources and some of the existing conditions, and then I'll show you the proposed activities. So to the west of the actual house is Buzzards Bay. So there's land under the ocean, land containing shellfish. There's a coastal beach. There's a dune system with a stone riprap built against it. From the stone riprap working east is a dune. The house is actually built within the dune. The dune goes from the backside of the stone riprap east to a line that was delineated and shown on the plan here. And then the dune terminates and we're at the road, and then we're in only land subject to coastal storm flowage at that point. So in addition to the dune, we have land subject to coastal storm flowage where the existing house is, which is a velocity zone, and then it transitions to an A zone as you work east. Then on the east side of the property, there's the existing cottage. You can see the lawn areas shaded in a lighter blue color. There's an existing shed, and then on the far east side is the salt marsh. The Hills also own the abutting parcel 3, which is a significant additional area of land that's not developed. That sums up the existing conditions on the property. Oh, and I, of course, can't forget about the fact that we're in a DCPC, a District of Critical Environmental Concern. The proposed project. There were 3 specific elements of the proposed project. The first one includes the raising and reconstruction of the existing house, the house that's in the dune. So there's an existing 3-bedroom house here. There's a paved driveway leading to the house. I've shown the existing house on this plan in the background with red line work, and then I've shown the proposed house superimposed on that. So this existing structure is to be raised and reconstructed. The existing house is substandard in its construction in a flood zone. It's in no way constructed to meet FEMA standards, certainly not to meet velocity zone standards. It's got solid walls. It doesn't even have breakaway panels. It's not elevated properly to allow flood waters to flow beneath it. It's older and in no way resilient to storms. Its area is, I'm going to tell you the area of the structure because it was asked in the staff report. The area of this existing structure is 2,068 square feet. It has a deck. It has the main house, of course, and entryways. It has access down to the beach via this path. The proposed house is shown, and that has been designed very surgically, if that's the right word, to fit within the same general footprint as the existing house, with a minor enlargement on this side in an area that's already altered. The overall net difference in structure is about 160 square feet in footprint, as meaning as what we cast a shadow, decks or house. Early on in the project planning, we met with your staff on site to talk about what we had in mind, and we were given, general parameters and instructions, and we agreed that we should do everything we can to stay within the general perimeter of the house as it currently exists on west, north, and east sides, but there was an opportunity to go a little bit bigger on the south side. So because of that and some other slight changes in the decks, there's a net difference in structure of about 160 square feet. But we offset that by reducing impervious surfaces in other places by trimming off a portion of the paved driveway that is not needed. So there's actually a slight decrease in impervious surface, a slight decrease, 17 square feet decrease in impervious surface when all is said and done in this house, if this house were to be constructed. This proposed house is to be pile supported. This house will be resilient to floods, velocity zone storms, because it'll be open below. It'll be pile supported, and it'll be elevated above the elevation of the base flood, which is 21. The existing house is not elevated above that. And it'll have just a crushed stone area below under the elevated portion. There will be one area that will be enclosed with breakaway panels underneath the building to allow for access and elevator and a small area of storage beneath the first floor living. And the details of that are on the architectural plans. So I think the area is 240 some odd square feet, which is below the, threshold of what you've allowed on other houses built in velocity zones. You may remember north of here, there was a project you approved on Chepcoy Beach that's got a similar situation. So that's element one of the project. Going along with that are two other elements. Number one is adjacent to the cottage in an open lawn area. The applicant is proposing to put a small pool with a patio surround. It's in an open area. There's no vegetated buffer in this area. There's a restoration proposed from the previously approved project that works in and around this pool area. The bulk of the restoration project was north in this larger open area. There's an area of alteration that's highlighted with this blue dashed line that is a lawn area and a path that leads down to the shed, and then it leads down further to the salt marsh down here. So this is all within that, and it's outside of any no disturbance zone A or outer buffer zone B. I show on here in orange the no disturbance zone A from the salt marsh, and the outer buffers in the outer buffer zone B from the dune. From the salt marsh on this side, I show the 100-foot no disturbance zone from the salt marsh here. So we're well beyond that. There are 3 trees that need to be removed. And we're showing those, and to mitigate for the removal of those 3 trees, they're eastern red cedar. We're proposing to install 8 new eastern red cedars in this area. We met with your staff, Greg and I, on 2 occasions after we met on site. When we initially did the plans for the house, and these proposed other activities, we met with Jen and Alyssa, and they gave us some feedback. It happened to coincide with a time where we had yet to present the plan to you. You'll see this is actually a continued hearing that was never open. But that initial meeting with your staff, we got feedback from them. We also had a late breaking idea to change the architectural elements of the house. The owner and applicant met with or had discussions with an abutter who was concerned about the styling of the house, and the applicant went to great lengths to revisit the architecture with Greg and revise the architecture to address some of those concerns. So we made a decision it didn't make sense to open the hearing, and we continued it. So this is why you're seeing it for the first time. After the plans were revised from after having our initial meetings with your staff, we met with them again, went over everything that we changed, and without putting words in their mouth, I think they were satisfied. And I think for the most part, we satisfied all of their concerns. So there is one other activity, and that is the new septic system. The current cottage is served by a cesspool that's proposed to be removed, and a new Title V septic system is proposed, and it's outlined here with the tank, pump chamber, and leaching field. And this position was cited with the restoration plan in mind. A lot of the restoration plants that you approved included ground covers in shallow rooted vegetation in the general center core of this, and then surrounding it is shrubs and other deeper rooted restoration plants. So this has sort of been strategically placed so that there's nothing with deep roots that would grow over this or interfere with it. And that all meets Title V standards. And should readily be approved. There's no variances necessary from the Board of Health on that. This isn't a DCPC, so you have very specific regulations about work in DCPCs, and you have to run through some calculations, and you have to do improvements in certain cases for any work you're doing in a DCPC. So on the plan, we've incorporated notes with the heading DCPC notes. And there's a calculation if you go through that section of the regs that basically says 2 things. There's 2 cases. There's the case when a lot has never been developed, undeveloped lot. In those cases, you're allowed to alter up to, but not more than 6,000 square feet. The other case is the case where there have been alterations, and that's what this case is. A lot of these properties were developed prior to the DCPC regulations, and your regulations recognize that and have a formula. And the formula basically says you calculate the existing area of alteration. You deduct 6,000 square feet, which would have been what you would have been allowed to alter if the lot were not already altered, and then apply a factor of 10% to that difference and give that back as further improvement plantings to provide additional improvements because you're doing some activities in the DCPC. So those improvement plantings equal 920 square feet, and we're proposing to do 980 square feet of plantings. And that's in areas shaded in green and not in areas that were already proposed to be planted in the restoration plan. These would supplement what was already proposed to be planted. So they'll augment, and they'll be the similar plant species, and they'll just be more of what you've already reviewed and approved. So those improvement plantings meet the standards under your DCPC regulations. So all in all, there's a significant improvement because of the additional plantings. There's a removal of a cesspool and replacement with a Title V compliant septic system. The existing cesspool is very close to, if not in the water table, and the new leaching field certainly will not be, and it'll be elevated at the minimum 5 feet above the water table. The new house that has been designed by Greg is fully FEMA compliant, and it meets the regulations you have at FW 10.38. So that's an improvement in that the house is now not susceptible to damage and creating a debris field from a hurricane that might get strewn into a wetland resource and DCPC. So those are the 3 activities proposed. I think we've done everything in a way that it meets your local regulations and DEP regulations. And I'd like to turn it over to Greg so he can give you the specifics of the house construction and show you those plans, and then we're here to answer questions.
Thanks, Mike. Board members, thanks for having us. I'm Greg Jones, architect of the project. Mike described it briefly. It's going to be an elevated house to comply with all FEMA requirements. We're in a VE 21 zone, which means the bottom of our structure needs to be 2 feet above elevation 21. So the bottom of our structure will be elevation 23. We actually add a couple inches to that just to be on the safe side. The average natural grade is roughly, it's on the plan, it's roughly 14 feet or so. So we'll be quite a few feet higher off the grade than the house that's there now. I think it's about 5 feet higher than the house that exists now. The construction, again, will comply with FEMA regulations. We're proposing a number of 16-inch concrete piers. They'll be open between the piers. There'll be no breakaway panels. The only portion that will be enclosed, Mike had said 240 square feet. It's actually 296 square feet of interior space on the ground level. That includes the elevator, the entrance foyer, and the stairs to get you up to the main level. FEMA recommends keeping that space to below 300 square feet. So we're just squeezing underneath that. We've had some geotechnical engineering done on the site. We're cognizant that the house to the north of us had significant issues with their foundation. We're hopeful that, what the geotechnical engineering showed us will be consistent throughout the footprint of the house. So we're proposing, as I say, a series of these 16-inch square columns sitting on grade beams below grade. In one of the previous designs, we had a concrete slab at the grade level. We've eliminated that because DEP frowned on that, so we're going just to a gravel base. So the idea would be that any winds will blow the sand underneath the house through the pilings and out the other side without obstructing it. I'm going to try and share my screen of the various floor plans. Let's see if it'll work here. These are two of the elevations: north elevation, west elevation. The west elevation is a little deceptive in that you see at the base, in the middle, a large series of doors and some siding. That's actually about 20 feet back from the plane of the main house. So that's 296 square feet of enclosed space. We are below the 35-foot height restriction listed in the building code. Let's see if I can show some of the plans. These are the other two elevations, the south elevation and the east elevation. The siding materials will be a combination of vertical red cedar boards and horizontal ipe, which is a Brazilian hardwood. The current plan is to stain it dark, like a dark gray. We haven't finalized the colors, and you probably don't care about the colors, but so we have changed the design from an earlier design that was considerably more contemporary and trying to respond to one of the neighbors' concern. I've forgotten the name of the neighbor that had some concerns. I'm going to find the floor plans and see if I can open those up. Bear with me a second. So this is the ground floor plan. If you can see it, you'll see the series of square concrete pilings. This is the enclosed area that we say is.
Greg, we can't see that.
Can't see it. Let's see. You are sharing screen. It says I'm sharing.
We just see your a list of your PDFs.
Oh, isn't that nice? All right, let me try and back out a second.
Click on it.
How's that?
Nope.
No. All right, let me try one more time. Screen sharing is stopped. Share account. Let's see if I can try this again. Share screen. Mike, you wouldn't happen to have the floor plans with you, because some reason it's not letting me get to them.
Yeah, I'm opening them now. What page should I go to?
The ground floor plan, we'll start there if you don't mind.
Okay, hold on. No, sure. I'm just trying to find it. I apologize.
Any luck, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. You get it on share, please.
Okay. Okay, that's.
I just got to get it rotated properly.
Yep. That's it. Unfortunately, it's the PDF, so it doesn't read as clearly. But you see the series of square concrete piles, nothing connecting them all around the perimeter. And then in the upper portion of the building is the mudroom, the entry foyer, showing the elevator and the staircase.
Just regenerates, so
Yep.
There it is.
So that square footage, as it says on the drawing, is 296 square feet of enclosed space, just below the threshold of the 300 square foot recommended by FEMA. There'll be flood vents in this space, and the walls that enclose this will be breakaway walls as required by code. And we'd make the space smaller, but in order to get up to that second level, we need 17 stairs, and the elevator is a certain footprint. So this is about as small as we can make it and make it work practically. Go to the second floor, Mike. And there's a question about one of the elevations we'll get back to in a moment.
Go ahead about the sluggish. It's a big file, evidently. There's the first floor.
Yep. Well, this is the primary floor with the living spaces on it. I don't know that there's much there that conservation cares about. Living room, dining room, the basic stuff to make up a house. It's regenerating slowly. You'll see at the top of the page when it comes on, the staircase and the elevator. It's a 3-bedroom house to match the 3-bedroom house that it's replacing.
It's like watching paint dry. Sorry about
A little bit.
that. I don't have control over that.
Yeah. I don't know if the board has any particular questions about the
There it
floor
is.
plan. There it is. There's a small balcony in the upper right-hand corner. And the rest is fairly self-explanatory, I believe. We do have an elevator going from the ground level to all floors above, the main level and the second floor. A couple fireplaces, kitchen, pantry, all the things you'd want in a house. And then, Mike, if you wouldn't mind trying one more time for the second floor.
Afraid to, but I will.
I know. As this generates, the second floor has 2 guest bedrooms, each with a bath, and a master bedroom with its own master bath and walk-in closet, a small laundry room, and then the stair hall and elevator and a series of closets.
Craig, is the rest of the plans below the laundry?
Yes, it is, Mike.
So I got to scroll down.
Try and scroll down, see if it'll.
Yeah, the problem is when you scroll down, it regenerates and it's just sluggish.
Do we really need to see these floor plans for our decision?
Probably not. I'm happy to wait or
drop it out, Mike. I'll continue answering questions that people might have while I try and load it from my end. See if I have better success.
Okay.
We need faster internet in Falmouth.
All right. Thank you, Mike. I mean, I think the ground level plan was the most important anyway. So, are you all set for now, Greg?
I am. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know
Okay,
there were some chat questions that came up, but I'll
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yep.
Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mike and Greg, the only concern I think we have is with the previous mitigation, the construction of the new house might alter some of that previous mitigation. So there'll be a condition that any previous mitigation that's altered should be replaced in kind, no matter how close to the house. I think it's that beach plum and that bayberry, Greg, where you used to almost have the entrance and now
Correct.
it's sort
Yep.
of near that side entrance that we talked about that we were concerned with.
Right.
You don't anticipate any of those cedars needing to be trimmed to get that new house in, do you?
Not with the relocation of the deck and balcony.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate you relocating those elements. We were having some concerns with those. And also, I think the whole dune restoration you know, when you're done, that needs to be looked at because that's not doing well. I know it doesn't really have anything to do with the house project, but it does have to do with the property. So that should be reviewed. And I think that is about it for my comments, Mr.
Sorry to
Chairman.
interrupt you regarding the dune restoration. I believe you mean the area that was originally done by Blue Flax Design.
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
Doesn't look like it's doing well, so, but maybe we could, I mean, there's another restoration project, on the cottage side, so.
Right.
But we'll just need to keep an eye on that.
Sure, certainly.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Ms. Bergeron.
Thank you. Just one reiteration of a staff comment. It looks like the newly proposed cedars will actually fall in line with the mow strip proposed on the cottage side that was implemented to sort of keep the invasives from neighboring properties at bay and not interfere with the new restoration. So I think, you know, we can keep the proposed cedars there for the moment, but I think in the field, once more of the site work is complete, we can meet out there with you guys, homeowners, landscaping, and kind of figure out the best location for those. It just might need to be an on the site decision.
We're certainly flexible with how those are positioned. They don't need to be in the mow strip. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner comments, and I'm up first. Mike, some points of clarification, please.
Yes.
I think you said it out loud, and I what's the elevation and new elevation
Of the new house?
Yes, sir.
Greg might be better off answering that.
So we're in the VE 21 zone. The finished floor elevation will be roughly 24 and change. So it'll be 2 feet to the bottom of the structure above the flood zone, and another foot or so for the structure, which puts us at just over 24 feet.
What's the existing elevation? Do you know, Mike, on the existing first floor?
I do.
Or Greg, sorry.
Should be on the site plan, Mike. I think the existing house shows on the site, existing condition site plan.
Yeah, I don't see it.
The first floor on the existing house is 20. Elevation 20 on the existing house.
Thank you. Now, the new house is connected to that tight tank. It will not be connected to the new Title V. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And then you said something about the new septic, and I don't think I heard you correctly. It does not meet the 5-foot separation?
Oh, it most certainly does meet the 5-foot separation. What I was probably trying to say was the old system, the cesspool is, the bottom of the cesspool is likely in or very close to the groundwater. The new leaching field will be set a minimum, the required minimum separation of 5 feet.
All right. Jen, this might be a question for you. The 300-foot, Greg said that's what FEMA recommends. Is that in the regulations? I thought it was 200 square feet.
You have 200 or 200 for an addition to an existing structure, like adding more structure in a general thing. So generally, I've seen this board go anywhere from 200 up to 400 for the enclosed space on a new house.
Okay. What confused me was when Greg said that that's a FEMA recommendation, if I heard that correctly.
Yes, you did. It's a recommendation from FEMA for new construction. They just want to keep it as small as possible, and they come up with.
I get that. I don't think I've heard that before.
I can dig up the citation.
Like I said, that's why I called it clarification. I'm not really questioning it in the strictest sense. And then you said that's going to have flood vents and breakaway panels or breakaway construction. Okay, and last question is on the main level, you have a balcony. Is that counted in the square footage?
I believe Mike does have it included in his calculations. That balcony overhanging the front entrance, Mike?
Yes. What about it?
Is that counted in the square footage you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Jamie, I just want to follow up on something you mentioned. It'll have breakaway panels on the bottom level, but I do believe the area around the elevator isn't breakaway panels. Am I correct,
Right.
Greg?
Yes, you are. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that all has some flood resistant material.
Yeah, so just the area around the elevator, the rest of the enclosed space will be the breakaway.
Understood. All right. Thank you both for that clarification. All right, Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Melissa.
Yeah, so now I want to clarify something that you just tried to clarify, Jamie, because I have here in my notes that Greg said no breakaway panels are going to be used around the house, and that it's just around the elevator area that's going to be permanent. So am I correct that it's going to be open underneath the house except for
the entrance foyer
yeah,
mudroom?
Okay, because I'm a little perturbed whenever I see houses that make them look like they're these monstrous, these really dense, 3-story things. Couple of questions. One, is there going to be a rinse station anywhere added in the future to this?
There's already a rinse station at the cottage across the street, so we're not going to add another one.
Okay. And then why gravel underneath the house as opposed to letting it be sand and dune?
Oh, it will be. Wait 2 weeks.
I mean, eventually
that's what I was thinking.
It's hard to walk on sand that moves around, and gravel seemed to be an easier answer than concrete.
Right. It's a more stable surface for, just being underneath the building. And actually, I think FEMA prefers that to like a slab.
I guess I'd prefer it to a slab. I'd rather see the dune under it, but I guess the dune will be there, like Jamie said, in a couple of weeks. It's a great location. So, speaking of this fine location, I've known this property for decades now, just from being back there all the time. And I'd like to highlight something that Jen mentioned at the end here is that that dune restoration project from the N-2 project that we have going. That mitigation or restoration plantings are completely anemic. And I think the last time this property was in front of us, I mentioned that, and somebody sort of sadly commented that, well, it's difficult to grow things in a dune. Yeah, but the landscape architects who plan these restoration plantings need to choose stuff that grows in dunes. So I'd like to really see that dune between, or from when the tight tank was put in a few years ago, I guess is what happened, between Drift Road and to the west. I'd like to really see that restored, please. And then
with you, and certainly should be a condition if you're concerned about it. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want you to know that. And then also, the last time you folks were in front of us, on this plan here, the one with all the blue, the very first one that's called existing impervious surface analysis. On we'll call it the cottage property. I guess it's the east property.
Mm-hmm.
There's that quote crushed stone driveway. We had a little discussion about it the last time, the little parking area there that we had asked to have it clarified if that was ever permitted, because we didn't think that was ever permitted. And now it's on the plan because it does exist there, but there was a question as to whether it was allowed to exist, because that gravel, we had no record of that existing before.
Yeah, and
it's on the plan because it exists. But
if I could answer that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
My recollection is similar but slightly different, and I remember some commissioners. I remember saying that it was always a driveway. It was a dirt driveway, and that the owner may have placed some crushed stone on it just because it was a little muddy. And my recollection was that certain members made comments that they weren't concerned about that because it was already a driveway and it needed to have some stability. It's not paved, it's just crushed stone. And there was never a concern to the point of there being a condition about it. So we just assumed it was fine. And I still feel that way. I think it's fine.
Well, I don't recall the discussion going that way. But and considering how sandy it is back there, I'm not quite sure if muddy is quite the description for what happens when it gets.
It can be muddy, I can tell you.
Yeah, no,
I've been there where it's really muddy.
Okay, I've been back there too when it's really wet. But anyhow, crushed stone though is impervious. I'd like to. I don't know. I'd like to find out if that actually has been permitted, because if it's is it allowed to be that way or not is a question for me. And then other than that, yeah, that's about it. It's going to be a nice improvement to get that house off the dune. Looking forward to seeing that. Please be very careful with everything else that's back there, which I'm sure you all will be. But yeah, that's about it for the moment for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Steve?
Thank you. Yes, I've also enjoyed visiting this property over the last few years, and glad to see this as a resolution, I think, and a conclusion, let me say, at least for the time being, of the construction. I like the plan, and I think I'm all set.
Thank you. Betsy?
Oh, where's Mike? Did he go? Oh, Mike and Greg, no questions or comments.
Thank you.
Forward to seeing this project, all the aspects of this project completed.
All right. Courtney?
Good project, no comments.
Okay. All right. Again, public chat comments, please.
Mr. Chair, could I just, before we get to the public folks, I do see a comment that maybe I mischaracterized.
Excuse me, that's what we're addressing.
Yeah.
Chat comments, can we let Jen read them in, please?
Oh, sure.
This one is from Gordon Platt. Hi there, speaking as the abutter who has design concerns, 26 Drift Road. We were never replied to about what those revisions ended up being. Do you have any detail on what those changes were, or could you share the plans? Greg, did you share the plans with the Platts prior to this hearing?
We did not.
Okay.
I don't believe the homeowners did. I'm sure I didn't.
Okay.
I don't think the homeowners would object.
Okay. And then again, Mr. Platt, 26 Drift Road. If this project will be driving piles, will it require a survey of adjacent homes?
So
that I do not know. I'll go with Greg or Mike or Jamie on one of those.
We won't be driving piles. They're cast in place concrete, so there'll be no driven piles.
Okay. How deep are you going down, Greg?
Right now, we believe we're going down 6 feet. And that's based on the geotechnical analysis we had. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but one of the next questions deals with a comment that maybe I mischaracterized earlier about the foundations to the north on the house. I'll answer when we get to that.
Okay. Okay, so the answer is you will not be surveying the adjacent homes because you'll be digging 6 feet down and pouring the concrete in place. Correct. Okay. Can we also get some clarification regarding the comment regarding house to the north with significant foundation issues? Greg, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so I probably misphrased the way I meant it. So in doing some homework on, the early design of this house, we get a geotechnical engineer. And I had heard that when they built the house to the north, that when they started digging the foundation for that, they found conditions in portions of the house that were different than where the test borings were done. So they ended up having to dig deeper for their foundation. So that's what I meant by significant foundation issues. Not that they have problems with their foundation, but nobody likes to be surprised when they start digging to find conditions they didn't anticipate.
And to further state, house to the north means the Richards house, not the house directly to the north.
Not just to, right, not just to the north, but further north.
Yes, further north, yes.
So
That's the one, Mike, where they had to do the heel. Weren't they doing some sort of helical pylons of there?
Different situation, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, so, and the other piece of that, when we did our geotechnical analysis, we did 2 test bores. We would have loved to have done more, probably 6, that followed the footprint of the house. But to get the equipment in there, we'd have to traverse over the mitigation areas that we don't want to mess up. So we did 2 test borings in the areas that were accessible. So it's our anticipation that when they demo the existing house, the conditions that we found in the 2 test bores will be consistent across the footprint of the house. Hopefully that's the case, and we don't have to dig deeper than we anticipate.
So Greg, to follow up on that, when you demo the house, are you going to be doing additional test pits when you can get in there to just confirm and clarify?
I'm not sure. I probably want to meet with the geotechnical guy again and see if it makes sense to get a machine on, or just have the excavator there and start digging in the far corners of the house. And that, it's going to tell us as much as a test boring.
We will definitely keep you in the loop on that, so you understand when that, assuming we get a favorable conditions, we would keep you in your staff apprised of that.
Okay. Okay, and this is from, I guess, Julie Platt. Hello, this is Julie Platt. We are the house to the north. We do not have 6 significant foundation issues. I think we clarified that we meant Mr. Richards' house, the first house, when you enter Black Beach.
Yep.
And then our house been on Black Beach for 110 years. Yes. She couldn't see the screen. Have the previous owners, this is Mr. Gordon Platt again, have the previous owners ever increased the square footage of the house? Alyssa, you usually do a deep dive into these projects when you're doing your research. Did you come across any old order of conditions for the existing house?
It's been a while since I looked into it. I don't have a good answer for you at the moment.
Okay. That is unclear at this time, Mr. Platt. We look at a lot of projects, so
I can answer. There was one approval to expand the deck slightly at one point, but the house,
okay,
in my experience, has been that way forever.
Okay.
Not for a very long time.
And then again, Miss Julie Platt has basically the same question. Have they ever increased the footprint of the, I'm assuming, the existing house? And then again, Ms. Platt, hello, the current house at 28 Drift Road has been in place for 70 years. The house has sustained many large storms without large impact. I'm guessing, Mike, that goes to your comment about hurricane debris. Our family has owned 26 Drift Road since 1939 and has recorded the lack of damage on the shared beach. Is there, okay, this is Mr. Gordon Platt. Is there any plan, intention, or ability to park the cars under the structure? I don't believe there is, Greg. Didn't we talk about this? There's not going to be any parking underneath.
There's not. We in early schematics, and I don't know if you saw those, Jen, probably before we even came to you, there was parking under there, but the grading doesn't really work well for that. And, the other piece was once we took the concrete out, it just doesn't make sense to be able to get under there. So, no.
Okay, and then we have a John Holohan. What time of year is construction planned for? How will Drift Road be impacted by construction traffic?
Too soon to tell. We don't have a schedule yet, but I can't speak to that. I can speak to that my client is very much aware of issues and concerns about construction and ongoing, and she's going to do everything she can to be reasonable and respectful of the neighbors.
So, Mike, I remember at the Richards house, there was a lot of construction equipment, a lot of construction vehicles. Where will all these vehicles be parking to construct this house? Will they be on the cottage lot?
This might be a good question for Mr. Jaget, if he's still in the audience.
If Bob is there, I did talk to Bob about that. Bob Jaget is with Cataldo Builders.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to promote Mr. Jaget up.
Hello?
Hi, Rob. Do you have anything you can offer on that question about the accessibility?
Yeah, just the fact that we do have the cottage house and some parking across the street, it's going to be able to help us throughout the process here. We also have a little bit of the driveway. We're just going to have to be very cognizant of the neighbors and very cognizant of keeping the road clear, as we proceed through building the house.
Keeping the road clear and not parking the cars in the existing dune restoration project.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. And then Julie Platt, previous owner, did renovations to the house by increasing the deck.
Mike said
Question
earlier.
mark. I mean, that possibly, there was possibly
There was a
renovations that were done years ago. I'm
I
not
can
quite
answer
sure
that.
how that impacts this current proposal.
We did increase the deck. I'm going to say 15 years ago. I was the architect on that.
Okay.
The deck increase.
I don't remember that, Greg, but at 15 years, we're getting closer to my earlier time here.
It might have been Mark.
Agent
back then.
Okay, I think that's all we have for the questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. Mike and or Greg, you have anything you'd like to add?
No.
No, thank you.
All right. Any other commissioner comments or questions?
Oh, just one
All
more
right.
thing, Rob. Maybe I know they have the limit of work on the dune, and just from past experience working on the house down, they tried to protect areas, and their guys would just park on it. Maybe that limit of work along the driveway that wraps around that dune restoration, if we could put some orange construction fencing, just kind of more of a visual barrier and not one of those wattles, so your guys don't inadvertently drive and park on the dune or anything like that.
Yep, absolutely not a problem.
Okay, so we'll condition that in there for
Yep,
you.
okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Meanwhile, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Any other questions or comments? Going once, going twice. We're voting to close the hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa?
Hotel guy.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous with this quorum. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Borselli, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jagat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Have a
Night,
good
everybody.
night.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Maury's back. Next up, Stephen Fuhrer, RMB Development, 134 Minot Road and 0 Minot Road. Map and parcel 46A-002A-001-001V as in Victor. Falmouth, Mass. For permission to conduct dune management and beach maintenance. This is a continued hearing that hasn't been previously open, so the quorum is all of us. Ben?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Lori McDonald from Cape and Islands Engineering up to present her first project before the Falmouth Conservation Commission.
All right, guys, go easy on her.
Good evening.
Or you're a little fuzzy. We don't see you.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a dramatic start, though.
Oh, there we are. Okay, sorry. First, I got to learn how to use my computer here. Yes, so my name's Lori McDonald. I'm with Cape and Islands Engineering, and with me in the audience, I believe, is Mr. Furrier, the applicant for the project. He may be helpful in responding to questions. I don't know if you see him present, Jennifer.
He's not present. Lauren.
Okay, sounds good. So in any event, can I share my screen? Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
There you go.
All right, so again, my name is Lori McDonald. Before you tonight is a notice of intent application that Cape and Islands Engineering has submitted for the applicant for ongoing beach maintenance activities in the management of an existing dune at 134 Minot Road. The proposed project activities will be occurring in coastal dune, coastal beach, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and land subject to tidal action, and within 100-foot buffer zone associated with coastal dune, bank, beach, salt marsh, lands under the ocean, and land containing shellfish. The property at 134 Minot Road is a commercial property supporting the Surfside Resort, a vacation timeshare facility. The site consists of buildings, a swimming pool, play area, parking, on-site storage disposal system, outbuildings, and landscaping. Deeded with 134 Minot Road are two ocean beach parcels located across Minot Road, which are these parcels right here. First, I'll talk about the beach maintenance portion of the project. So the proponent, let me give you an idea of where everything is. Great Pond is to the back of the site. Like I said, this is the resort with the buildings. Great Pond is to the back of the site, which is a tidal pond. This is Minot Road, which goes from east to west. There's an existing bridge crossing the canal right here to the right of what's shown on the plan. And then to the south of Minot Road are the two beach parcels, which directly border Vineyard Sound or have access to Vineyard Sound. So the proponent is proposing to do some beach maintenance and continual beach maintenance on the beach, landward from the mean high tide line, which is this mean high tide line right here, up to the dune on the south side of Minot Road. So the beach maintenance activities will involve the cleaning and screening of approximately 46,000 square feet of beach sand on an ongoing and as-needed basis along the beach. The purpose of the seasonal cleaning and screening is to remove any foreign debris and or trash that is accumulated on the beach. This work will be completed in accordance with the same beach management practices utilized by the town of Falmouth. The access to perform the work will be directly from Minot Road. All the proposed beach maintenance activities are going to be performed parallel to the water's edge and landward from the mean high tide as mentioned up to the dune. No sand or sediment will be removed from the beach, and no sand or sediment will be placed on any of the coastal dunes present. None of the proposed management practices will disturb or alter any of the existing natural vegetation or other wildlife habitats located on the beach. Any debris and trash collected during the cleanup and maintenance activities will be removed from the area and disposed of legally off-site. And we're not anticipating any adverse impacts to resource areas. This is a continual maintenance activity that's been approved under previous orders of conditions by the Conservation Commission in the past. The other item is associated with the management of an existing dune located at the site entrance to the timeshare. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can get a better idea of where these dunes are. So as people drive over the bridge heading westbound, they encounter this dune right here, which is, I would say about 7.5 feet high. And as they continue along, they eventually would see a car here trying to exit the parcel. Obviously, this is a sight distance issue, and any cars looking to enter or exit this area could result in a crash or accident. So the dunes are right now at an elevation that are hazardous to motor vehicles driving along Minot. To correct the public safety issue, the applicant is proposing to reduce the height of these existing dunes. So this area right here in the blue and the green, and this just little small sliver here area on the other side of the access road will also be maintained. So I'm going to go up to the detail, which has a little bit more of an explanation as to what's going on here. So the main part of the work, like I said, is occurring on the larger dune system to the east of the access drive. So this solid green area is the area of vegetation to be pruned to 1 foot below grade, and the area will be restored to beach grass. Same over here, there's 100 square feet of dune vegetation that will be pruned to an elevation of 7 feet. And then the area within the hatching, which is this area here, this blue hatching, this is about 2,630 square feet of dune that will be regraded. So approximately 110 cubic yards of sand will be removed from this dune. The dune will be reformed, and the area will be planted with beach grass, American beach grass. So all this is an effort to protect motorists entering and exiting the site and motorists driving down along Minot Road from a potential collision. Okay, this material will be removed from the protected area and disposed off-site in accordance with local, state, and federal regulations. Any vegetation that can be retained on the dune will be cut back, as said, to 1 foot above the finished grade. Once the coastal dune has been reshaped, it'll be replanted with the American beach grass. This beach grass is easier to maintain and it will not obstruct any views from the motoring public. No adverse effects are anticipated as a result of the project. After the proposed improvements are complete, all resource areas are anticipated to continue to provide the same functions as they currently do. During the work, disturbances to adjacent areas will be minimized to the maximum extent practicable. Prior to the commencement of any of the maintenance activities on the beach lots, the mean high water line and edge of coastal dunes will be identified in the field. So the contractor is aware where these lines are and will avoid the placement or any work activities outside the designated work zones. The contractor will be required to use a small rubber tired vehicle when doing the work in order to minimize coastal beach and dune disturbance. All the staging, storage, and access will be from the existing paved parking and driveway areas at the main facility north of Minot Road. The contractor will not be allowed to use Minot Road to stage any construction equipment and materials. The proposed dune management work is basically similar to the previous 2007 dune management project, where the Falmouth Conservation Commission approved and issued an order of conditions. That's DEP file number 25-3378. In that 2007 order of condition, the commission recognized that the dune did impair vehicle line of sight associated with the westbound traffic, and that the dune did pose a safety hazard, and the order of conditions was issued. The order also read that it was determined that the dune height would not result in an adverse impact of the function of the dune or the interests of the act, or the reduction in the dune height would not result in an adverse impact to the function of the dune or the interests of the act. So at this point, I, on behalf of the applicant, am requesting the Falmouth Conservation Commission issue an order conditions for the proposed work indicated on the plan and presented before you tonight. At this point, I would turn it to the chair.
Thank you. You can stop sharing.
Gotta figure out how to do that. Sorry. Oh, there it is.
Can't help you there.
Yeah.
All right. Jen.
Okay, I don't have any concerns with the beach maintenance work. We'll condition that as we condition every beach maintenance, all beach maintenance activities in town. This area does have a line of sight issue. It has for many years, and board issued an order in 2007, and I know we've done some other work out there to try to manage the height of this dune. Lori, on your detailed plan, you have the grades of the dune. Are those existing grades of the dune?
Yes.
And what are the proposed grades of the dune?
I think
You
it says
just
it in
sit there
the-
and say you're removing sand, but you don't tell me what the proposed grades are going to be.
Okay. Okay, so the proposed grades are I am not showing them.
I do have a note in my staff report. I must have gotten it from the narrative.
Okay.
It said regrading will bring the dunes to an elevation between 6 and 7 feet.
Okay.
I'm not sure if
Okay,
that is reflected
so-
on the plan.
Yep, it is.
So we have 6, 6.5, 7. So they're gonna be, so you're only gonna take about a foot, 2 feet off the dune?
It's my understanding. I thought it was more, but I guess, yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. So we'll condition that the height has to be maintained at like between 6 and 7 feet. Kind of like the only other comment I have on this is one on the proposed, and I didn't look at this as me. The existing vegetation, cutting it down to a height of 1 foot, that's significantly going to impact that vegetation. I mean, you can't maintain it at 1 foot. It's just not going to survive. You'll just have little sticks there. So we'll have to think about that. Maybe replace it with beach grass. I mean, 1 foot versus 2 feet, I really don't think is going to be that much of a line of sight issue with the cars. I can see the height of the dune because I pulled out of there myself. I know exactly what the issue is over there. But maintaining the current vegetation to because we're going to be Yeah, well, okay, we'll think about that. Just during your presentation, Laura, you said that they were planting it with beach grass because beach grass is easier to maintain.
Yes, easier to maintain, plus it will.
Why are you maintaining the beach grass? And when you say maintaining the beach grass, what do you mean?
I guess that's the wrong choice of words. I should be saying beach grass is natural vegetation. It's not going to actually require any maintenance.
Perfect. Okay,
that's
so there'll
more,
be no
accurate
maintaining of the
verbiage.
beach grass.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted clarification, like,
yeah,
because you
sorry
said
about
that and I was like this, maintaining the beach grass? What are we mowing it? No. I
No.
can see the shrubs, but the beach grass should probably just be left alone. Agree? Okay, well, we'll condition that. Okay, no, that's all I have. As long as we're not going to be mowing or maintaining the beach grass and you're just going to plant it and leave it to do its thing.
Yes.
Because we're going to be back here in a few years taking the height of the dune down again. So it's just a tough area. It's a
very
tricky area.
active. It's a very active area. I mean,
Yeah.
you have the road in front of it and the parking area behind it. There's really no place for sand blowing in from the area to accumulate. And I think a lot of this area is used as a disposal site during storm events.
So on the other side, not that side, but the other side is. But yeah, I know. Well, this dune is tricky over there. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Bergeron.
Thank you. Two things. Yes, I had missed on here where it said it was going to be maintained at a height of 1 foot. You know, a one-time pruning to regeneratively jumpstart everything is one thing, but we'll have to look at it more in depth about where that taller vegetation is and how we can, you know, keep the line of sight without sacrificing all of the vegetative shrub material in the dune.
And the function of that vegetation.
Yeah. And then if you look closer at the zoomed in version of the dune modification, it shows the proposed topo. It has a bunch of spot grades from 8.4 to 9.4. And then the proposed topo on the road side is 6 and on the resort side is 8.
Okay. I wasn't sure if those were if those were existing or proposed.
Yeah, I think because of the lines that meant the proposed, but yeah, so I think it makes sense. Obviously, the roadside's a little bit shorter.
Definitely.
More drastic drop there, but the back seems relatively the same.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments. Maury, we're going to start with you.
The only thing I was wondering is the time of year, because if you're going to be planting the amokla, it should be in the winter. So you're going to take away all that. You said you're going to remove the dune material and take it off site. You're not going to try and use any of it for restoration.
I am not aware of any plans to use it for restoration at this point. It's going to be taken off site, yes. Or the applicant may be reusing it on their site. I'm not sure. I don't know what the applicant's plans are, but it'll be disposed of in accordance with the regulations and laws in Massachusetts.
Right. Well, I know you said that. It's just if it was good material, you're going to be renourishing and maintaining. I just thought it was rather wasteful to take 100 cubic yards of maybe possible nourishment away, but that will be up to.
Right.
I mean, it might be full of roots and junk and everything else, and it might not be worth it. But
yeah, so I think a lot of the times after storm events, there's been plows that have been pushing materials up into that area. So I'm not sure if it is suitable.
Okay.
For
I think that'll be a call on site. But thank you. And that is a very dangerous spot right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Melissa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Lori. Welcome to us. Lots of questions. How long have those buildings been there? And how many accidents have actually happened?
I don't have that information.
Yeah. So the several times that I've been there looking at this in my very small, low profile stick shift, I have no problem seeing out there. And I'm wondering what other alternatives has one explored other than destroying really the only healthy looking dune on the strip there? Has anyone considered removing the telephone pole, having Comcast move the telephone pole, or burying the wires in front there, or putting up a one of those little speed blinking signs? Because the problem seems to be people coming down Minot Road at excessive speed as opposed to those at the speed limit. Or how about speed bumps? Have any other options been considered other than cutting back the dune?
We are just going forward with what was originally approved back in 2007, just to continue our maintenance activity. We haven't looked at any other alternatives that I'm aware of.
Because there's also that quote coastal dune in front of the building next door that's actually more like hardened lawn, and even just making this driveway an entrance and then putting another entrance in the other side, as opposed to cutting down a coastal dune that actually seems to be doing all right, other than the fact that people have been pruning back the bushes that are on it. Sounds like a better idea to me. I mean,
my understanding is it's not a very natural dune, that it's been artificially added to after storm events. Plows have been moving materials onto the dune, and it's just gradually changed as a result of.
So in the name of,
that's my understanding.
Yeah. So in the name of coastal resiliency, we've got all of these areas in town that are going to be washed out with the next storm. I would think that if anything, it would behoove the owners to think of alternatives rather than cutting down the whole dune there. And in the meantime, to follow up on what Maury asked, moving 110 cubic feet of dune from there, I mean, if it's feasible, it should, or viable, it should probably go in front of the building next door into the coastal dune that quote is technically in existence on paper, but really doesn't look like much of a coastal dune in front of that other building. I mean, when I was over there the first and the second time, I was looking around thinking, gee, this would make a great spot to just drive over and put in an exit, as opposed to having people try to exit where that where the current driveway is. I think before we go cutting down dunes everywhere and ripping out the shrubberies, the shrubs that are holding them in, we should look for alternatives, viable alternatives. I really hesitate to move forward with this part of the project at this time, but the beach maintenance part, I guess, is okay, and there'll be no removal of seaweed and things like that wash ashore, right? Just trash and larger rocks or whatever, or not rocks, but detritus.
Yeah, it's mainly trash and debris that's accumulated after storm events and through use of the beach by recreation users. That's all.
Yeah.
But as far as other alternatives, this is a real issue, and the applicant is very adamant about reducing this dune elevation so that his patrons are not potentially in danger when entering and exiting the site. I mean, it is a dangerous area, and the dune was determined in the past to not have significant value, and the reduction of the dune was not considered an issue by the commission. So there is precedent here. Previous commissions has allowed this to go forward. It's an isolated dune system between an existing beach and a very developed area. I don't have the actual date as to when the property was developed, but it's been there for some time. I don't see any negative effect to the resource areas as a result of the proposed alteration.
Okay, well, you mentioned that it was permitted last in 2007, and I'd say we've learned a lot about coastal resiliency, climate change, sea level rise, storms, et cetera, since 2007. And I think it behooves oceanfront properties to take advantage of that new knowledge and come up with better solutions to perceived issues. And that's all I have for now, I guess. That telephone pole, though, I mean, that would open up quite a bit of the line of sight if that were to be moved. And it can be moved. They get moved. But that's it for now. Thank you, Lori.
All right, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, I drive by this approximately twice a day. And I have seen some very unusual things from people trying to get out of that driveway who are visitors to our community and probably only here for a week, a year. And that dune comes and goes with the storms. And mostly comes because the roads across the road and it's much easier to push it north than south. So they push it up there. And if you tried to screen this, to reuse it, I would think you would have an enormous pile of trash. I'm in favor of having this done. I was concerned until Maury asked the question about what we were going to do with the sand, but I'm comfortable now with that. So I have no further questions, and I think it's a project that should get done.
Excellent. Thank you. Betsy.
I was on the board in 2007 when this was first done, and I still think it should be done. It's gotten worse recently, and it's not going to, the function, dunes have various functions, but this is a very isolated dune. And should there be a major storm there, it's just going to be just pushed into the buildings. It's not going to protect those buildings anymore with its 2 feet less. And the surface, the ecological system that's on top will virtually be the same. I do agree that cutting some of these shrubs down to 1 foot won't be good for their health, but I trust that Alyssa and Jen can work with the clients on what to do. As I remember in 2007, we might have saved some of the shrubs and removed them and then sliced off part of the dune. Jen, if you could look back at the,
I will.
If we could roll that into this as well, can we roll that into the file?
If you want to add that if you want to incorporate that record into this record, we most certainly can.
Yeah, but I think what we did then was, because I think then there might have been bigger bushes and we might have saved some to the side, lopped off part of the dune and then put some of the bushes back. But anyway, yeah, it needs to be done.
I can also say that some work has been done to that dune under another smaller filing between 2007 and now, because I remember working with Maffey on it, on a line of sight issue, and it wasn't way back into 2007.
Yeah, well, maybe it was like
maybe 10 years ago. Well, maybe 10 years ago or so.
Do you think it was another notice?
I don't know. I just remember talking with a gentleman from Maffey named John way back, like I want to say about 10, 12 years ago about the dune, and we did something to the dune. I'd have to go back and look. But it was a.
But anyway, it's a project that needs to be done. Yep.
Yeah.
That's all, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Courtney.
I agree with Betsy.
Perfect. All right. I agree. I think the project needs to be done. I would encourage the owners to consider any kind of alternatives. Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Not in the public chat, but I just want to say one thing, Melissa. I understand what you're saying about coastal resiliency. I get your concerns about the dune. I'm very protective of dunes, but this dune, I think it'll be fine. I think if we can just improve the line of sight, it's a pretty resilient little area. The sand blows across the road and it just will naturally build up that dune again. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to be here in 5-10 years doing the same thing just because of nature and how that dune is building up. And it's just it's that corner.
But if we have to
It's
keep
just
coming back
top of-
every 5, 10, 15 years, maybe we need to find another solution.
True, but right now I do think this is the best solution.
Yeah. All right, anything else? All right.
I make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. If there's nothing else, all right, we're voting to close the hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawkeye.
Melissa?
Hi, Todd, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed the hearing. Thank you, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Have a good
great
night.
You two have a great evening.
All right, next up, requests to amend an existing order of conditions. Joseph and Gita Farah, trustees, Harborfront Realty Trust, 26 Loomis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4832 to revise the planting requirement. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Tom Bunker up to present his request.
Mr. Bunker, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to make it short and sweet. This is not to change a planting requirement, but to change call it an unplanting requirement. I'll explain that. I can share my screen. So we had April of this year. This plan was approved. Order of conditions issued. There is a row of plants, Rosa plants, the Rosa rugosa or Virginiana, along the top edge of the retaining wall, just landward of the salt marsh in there. And so in the discussions with staff, they said that, nobody knew where those or where or when those plants, there's a line of circles along here, where they came from. Staff helped when recently, I think your staff helped uncover there was an order of conditions filed by the neighbor. This is a 26 Loomis Lane, and I believe there's a 16 Loomis Lane. There was a request to rebuild this seawall, and it was filed and recorded under the neighbor's property, so it wasn't found in this chain of title. But it was amended. The order was amended to include work on this property also. So as you can see on this, you can see that it keeps on going quite a ways. That's looking down onto the next property, even that's 16 Loomis Lane down there. So anyway, this, as I recounted in the narrative, there was an order of conditions in 1990. It was after Hurricane Bob. There was order was issued and the seawall was reconstructed in 1992 or 93. And in that order said that this must be revegetated, and it was shown as being revegetated with Rosa rugosa on a plan by a landscape architect. And it was planted, and a certificate of compliance was issued with this Rosa rugosa pretty much as the only vegetation right along here. And so because this planting was a result of an issuance and order conditions, then I feel that this sentence here, where the non-native shrubs must be removed and replaced with native shrubs. So basically, I'm asking that this be removed and allow this line of Rosa plants to remain. They've been there for 30 years and are holding up well. And frankly, tearing them out and putting up new native plants would do more disturbance and more harm to this bank than just leaving them would. So that's what we're asking basically, is allow these to remain by removing this one line of text from the plan, from the requirements. That's it. Thank you.
Jen.
Staff has no issue with the request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Bergeron.
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, so to overly simplify, they just want to leave what's there.
Correct.
Okay.
Can I make a motion? Can I
Yes,
make a
sure,
motion to
please.
close this hearing?
Please.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion in 6 seconds. All right. If everybody's okay with anybody want to comment?
Good night,
All right,
Tom.
we're voting to close
I
this.
thought Tom,
Betsy.
I thought Tom made it good, a good plea for his client. And we agree with his reasoning.
If I had already known back in April.
We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfeld dry.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawkseye.
Melissa.
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
That's unanimous, but Jen, I have a question. Do I need public comments? I kind of skipped that step.
Well, the only public in our meeting is FCTV. So as long as FCTV doesn't have
Well, I
any
would say
comments,
no.
I think we're good.
And there were no chats. I could see there were no chats.
There's no chats.
I'm just trying to cover us.
There's
I
no
skipped that
chat.
step. All right, so it is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you, and good night.
Good night, Tom.
Good night.
All right, next up, a vote orders of conditions. Kevin, you're not on any of these, so if you want to be excused, you're excused.
Oh, he does. Look at that smile on his face.
Good night, Kevin.
Good night.
Good night,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Thank you very much.
All right, orders of conditions. First up, Marnie Farrell, 202 Edgewater Drive East, LLC. 202 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass.
Yep, they're putting a deck on to the side of the house. They're planting mitigation plantings. They're doing a small enlargement to the front deck, stoopy porch thing, and they are replacing that very unsightly chain link fence with another type of fencing along the back, because that slope's really steep. They do need a fence there. But I think they just want something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
All right.
And for the record, the deck that was on the site, it's because unfortunately they had it on the back of the house. We noticed it couldn't be there because it was moving closer, and so they put it on the side.
But we wanted them to remove we wanted them to remove the footings that were
The
from
old
that deck.
footings, The old footings are from a deck that you can see in the 2001 aerial, but it doesn't appear after that.
Yeah.
So,
And
All right.
also 2 to 3
Courtney?
gallons up.
Yeah, do we have to elevate a fence like that a couple of feet to allow critters underneath, or are we not doing that anymore?
if the critters could scale a rock slope like that, I don't think it's necessary in this case, Courtney, because it's not encircling the entire property.
Okay, I'm not
Um,
falling on my sword, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary in this case.
Okay.
All right. Melissa,
You're muted.
you're on mute.
Thanks. Regarding the fencing, I think they had requested airplane wire fencing, which actually leaves, a few inches below it anyhow, so the smaller ones can get through. But maybe if we can qualify, airplane wire or similar fencing, then that will keep it from being a solid wooden fence or something like that.
I don't
Is
think
that-
it's going to be a stockade fence. I think it's more like a
No, it's the airplane wire is, the posts with the wires going around. It's usually used in decking and in interiors and things like that.
That
It's a
was
steel
suggested,
wire.
but that's not what they asked for. They asked for a replacement of what they have, which is chain link.
chain link.
No, the
picket
person who was speaking said airplane wire.
Said
I think
that was an
George did.
alternative.
Yeah, an alternative to the chain link.
That was it. In other words, it could be one or it could be the other, depending on the client.
All right, so we're not worried about critters getting in or out of it anyway on that slope.
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, the critters will get around. I think, you put the airplane wire. I think we should just give them an option. They'll let us know what they're going to put there.
Okay, just don't have it be solid.
It won't be solid.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it'll be like a pickety look. I imagine it's going to be like a vinyl picket looking fence type thing. It's not going to be a solid fence. It's not going to be a stockade. They're definitely not going to want a 6-foot stockade right in front of their view.
They didn't
that I
even
can
mention a
guarantee.
picket. They didn't mention a picket. They mentioned replacing it with
Airplane wire. No.
that was the second.
All right.
If people didn't want the other, then they could have airplane wire. So it's the client still has to decide what the client wants.
Maury,
And they had 2 to 3 foot tall instead of 2 to 3 gallon, I think was on the plan.
Okay, I'll switch it to 2 to 3 gallon, Lori.
Thank you. That was all I had on my notes. Thank you, Jamie.
did I see your hand?
Steve's hand.
I see it now.
Yes, I had my hand up earlier to comment about the fencing, but I think it's been covered by other people who didn't raise their hands.
Ooh. All right, moving forward, kids, it's Christmas time. All right. Anything else anybody want to see in there?
That's right. Isn't today Krampus Day? I think everyone's getting coal today.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Anything else? All right, we're voting to issue the order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Maury,
Carlo Hawk's eye.
Melissa,
Right guy.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Peter Fisher, 15 Juniper Point Road, Falmouth, Mass. Jen?
Yeah, they're putting in a new septic system, pump dry, fill the cesspool. They're adding a square foot addition. I think the biggest thing, they're adding mitigation, but I think the issue on this property was the poor cedar trees being, I don't know how cedars grow like this.
They were topiaried.
Yeah, so I don't know what the board wants to do with those because it appears they're on the neighboring property. We could make a suggestion that they work with the neighbor to replace the trees because they're just in poor health.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, Maury.
If the neighbors don't want to cooperate, that they pollarded their trees, and bleached them, they might want to, we might want to condition that they have to put trees on their property to replace.
Or healthy
Right.
cedars. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think there were 3 cedars and it was questionable whether it was an oak or a pine, but it was basically just a stick. So it was kind of hard to tell. But that's called pollarding in England, by the way. When
No, I know.
they had them.
Yeah.
They just off with their head.
Wow.
And sometimes connected to the next ones.
Melissa.
Yeah, I'd agree with what Maury says about having them put them on their own property. And I, from looking at the bark and remembering my winter horticulture classes 40 years ago, I'd say it was an oak tree. So I think we need to get some kind of sturdy deciduous going in there too, not just the 3 large cedars replaced. They were pretty egregious.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and like I said, they weren't pruned to improve the view at 21 Juniper Point.
Nope.
So,
All right, anything else? All right. What are you thinking?
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Anything else? All right, we're voting to issue the order of conditions. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Maury.
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa.
okay.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Thank you. Next up, Loretta Romero, trustee, 15 North Chop Lane, LLC, 15 North Chop Lane, Falmouth, Mass.
Raise and rebuild. Yeah.
All right.
Raise and rebuild. A small amount of mitigation. I think that's about it.
All right. Anybody have it? Melissa?
Isn't this the place that had the dock that was 5 feet longer than permitted?
No.
No.
15
This is
North Chop Lane.
This is on the Sound.
What building are we on?
We're on North Chop. We're right on Vineyard Sound. There wouldn't be a dock out there. It's a visa.
Oh, it's that one. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. There was plantings that needed to go back in, right?
Yep. A small amount of plantings.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm on the wrong property.
Previous required. Yep.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right. Anything else? All right, we're voting to issue the order of conditions. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Maury.
Fellow Hawks Eye.
Melissa.
Right, guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Stephen Leaf, 0 Wacoit Highway. Map and parcel ID is number 27-07-009-000, Falmouth, Mass. And the quorum excludes Maury and Melissa and Kevin, but we've already kicked Kevin out.
Okay, so we still have 4.
We still have 4.
Okay, great. Riverfront.
We all have to vote.
They're still inside, but I think you guys are okay with it. So approve.
Yeah. Courtney?
I just think we have to write a tight set of findings specific to this situation. There was concern.
What would those findings be?
There was concern expressed at the last meeting that we were, that staff had urged us to take a little bit harder line. And I think we made the decision we did. And I just think it's important that the reflected. That's
We
all.
accepted the alternate analysis.
Yeah.
Correct, Jamie.
Okay.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I agree because it's, you know.
I mean, I think I have no question in my mind that we made the right decision. It's just that I just think that we just have to write a tight set of findings.
Holly will write as tight as I can because
Well, I know you will, Jen.
keep you guys out of trouble.
You do.
My job.
I know you do. Thank
I'll
God
make a
we have
motion.
you.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right. Steve, you have anything else? You're the one that didn't say anything.
No, I don't. And I'm glad
All
that we
right.
resolved this.
Yes. All right. So we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Thank you.
It's one of these.
Last up, vote amended order of conditions. So Maury and Melissa are back in.
So's Kevin.
Oh,
Oh, Kevin's back.
Kevin's
He's just hanging around because he likes us. But he's not on the
I think
board.
Kevin realizes he's back. No.
Can I do my
Kevin?
job,
Hold
please?
on.
Amended order conditions, Sandra L. Stows and Robert J. Volpe Jr. Sandra L. Stows Trust.
Wait a minute.
115 Lucerne Avenue, Falmouth, Mass.
I think we're reducing the driveway. It's an amending, so we're gonna reduce the area around the garage. So, and we're shifting a drainage. So that's it. We're just reducing the square footage of the garage. I mean, the driveway.
Which reduces the mitigation, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, which is the goal. Okay.
Yeah.
Melissa?
They're still going to protect the little sandy spot to the north, right?
Yes.
They didn't really
Yeah, just-
mention the little sandy spot, so
No, just want to confirm that.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to issue an amended order of conditions on this project.
Right,
Bird
Tug,
second.
second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an amended order of conditions as discussed. Anything else? All right, we're voting to issue the order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Right, Tug, guy.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an amended order of conditions, or we've issued an order of conditions for the amendment. How about that? All right, Courtney.
Before we adjourn, just an announcement. I will not be at next meeting because I have a conflict with the municipal light board that night. I'll have to attend that. I hope that is not an issue.
Oh, maybe we should cancel the meeting.
Well, this one or that one?
Yeah, right. All right, thank you for letting us know. So that's 12:13. All right.
I'll
Last
make a
motion, who
to
wants
adjourn.
it?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Gladfelter, aye.
Second.
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye.
Harlow Hawks Eye.
Right, Tug, guy.
Pat and I.
Unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.